Hello and welcome. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has wrapped up the second leg of his three-nation tour in Ethiopia. Today, the Prime Minister addressed the joint session of the Parliament in capital Addis Ababa.
It is a moment of a great privilege for me to stand before you today. It is wonderful to be here in Ethiopia, the land of lions. I feel very much at home because my home state Gujarat in India is also home to lions.
The Prime Minister also drew a comparison between India's national song and Ethiopia's national anthem.
India's national song, Vande Mataram, and the Ethiopian national anthem both refer to our land as the mother. They inspire us to take pride in the heritage, culture, national beauty, and protect the motherland.
Also in his Parliament address, PM Modi talked about the elevation of India-Ethiopia ties to a strategic partnership.
Indian companies are among the largest foreign investors in Ethiopia. They have invested more than $5 billion in diverse sectors like textiles, manufacturing, agriculture, health, and more. And they have created more than 75,000 local jobs. We have decided to elevate our bilateral relationship to the level of a strategic partnership.
The Prime Minister landed in Addis Ababa yesterday for a two-day visit. He was welcomed by his Ethiopian counterpart Abiy Ahmed. This is Prime Minister Modi's first official visit to the African country. The two leaders tasted some of the local coffee during their meeting, which also saw some car diplomacy. In a unique gesture, the Ethiopian leader drove PM Modi to the Science Museum and the Friendship Park. After this, the two leaders met with the Indian community in Addis Ababa. PM Modi was greeted with a traditional Indian dance performance, and lines of people waved Indian flags and chanted his name. The two leaders then held delegation-level bilateral talks at the National Palace in Addis Ababa. During the meeting, PM Modi hailed the long history of India-Ethiopia ties.
भारत और इथियोपिया के बीच हजारों वर्षों से निरंतर संपर्क, संवाद और आदान प्रदान होता रहा है। अनेक भाषाओं और समृद्ध परंपराओं से संपन्न हमारे दोनों देश विविधता में एकता का प्रतीक है। दोनों देश शांति और मानव कल्याण के प्रति प्रतिबद्ध लोकतांत्रिक शक्तियां हैं। हम ग्लोबल साउथ के सहयात्री भी हैं और साझेदार भी हैं।
PM Abiy Ahmed also praised Prime Minister Modi for his efforts to boost South-South solidarity. PM Modi also thanked Ethiopia for its support over the Pelgam terror attack.
पहलगाम आतंकी हमले पर आपकी संवेदनाओं और आतंकवाद के विरुद्ध हमारी लड़ाई में आपके समर्थन के लिए आपका बहुत बहुत आभार। और आतंकवाद के खिलाफ हमारी लड़ाई में मित्र देशों का साथ होना ये बहुत ही मायने रखता है।
And the two countries also signed an MOU on debt restructuring for Ethiopia under the G20 Common Framework. The Indian Prime Minister gave 3 key suggestions to enhance bilateral ties. First is to deepen relations in food security and health security. Second is boosting to capacity building. As part of it, India has decided to introduce new programs in artificial intelligence and double scholarships for Ethiopian students. And the third suggestion is to work extensively on digital public infrastructure. PM Modi also received Ethiopia's highest honour, which is the great honour Nishan of Ethiopia. He is the first global head of state to receive this award. Last night, PM Abiy Ahmed hosted a banquet dinner for PM Modi, where Ethiopian singers sung a rendition of India's national song Vande Mataram. PM Modi was seen enjoying the performance. He raised his hands and clapped during it. Not only PM Modi received a grand welcome in Ethiopia, his farewell was a royal affair as well. The Ethiopian Prime Minister drove PM Modi to the airport after he concluded his visit. And that was a wrap for PM Modi's Ethiopia visit. The Prime Minister's visit to the African country is set to further deepen India-Africa ties and solidify New Delhi's position as a trusted partner for the continent. And for more on this, we have with us Zemedina Nagatu, a geopolitical commentator who's joining us live from Addis Ababa in Ethiopia. Welcome to Firstpost.
Well, thank you for having me back on your program.
Zemedina, let's firstly look at how significant is India's strategic partnership with Ethiopia moving forward?
Right. So actually, the relationship, the strategic partnership between Ethiopia and India is very important. Let me give you some data. First and foremost, of course, diplomatically, Ethiopia was one of the first countries to establish an embassy in New Delhi, something like 55, 60 years ago. But more contemporary, the economic partnership between India and Ethiopia is very significant. I understand there are more than 600 Indian companies that are operating, investing in Ethiopia. And that's a very substantial amount. In fact, from the data that I've seen, India is amongst the three largest investors, foreign investors in Ethiopia. So that gives you a different one angle of the perspective. But the other one is Ethiopia 2 years ago joined the BRICS. As you know, India is one of the founding countries of the BRICS, and Ethiopia is now a member. So this new alliance, this new economic bloc, powerful bloc called the BRICS, brings those two countries together. And if you saw in your introduction, you showed some very colorful videos. I think the Indian Prime Minister was welcomed very warmly by the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, all the ceremonies. And beyond the ceremonies, the agreements that they signed, I understand there are about 8 of them, indicates the deep relationships and the strategic nature of the relationships. They signed an agreement, for example, on technology, upscaling, on peacekeeping in the healthcare space, and also, of course, Ethiopia's efforts to restructure its debt through the G20 framework is highly supported by India. So holistically, when you look at it, it's a very strategic, important relationship between Ethiopia and India, and they have now elevated to a strategic level. I guess the definition is somewhere in there, but it's obviously something very important for both countries to have that kind of highly elevated relationships. All around, it's been a very, very successful trip. I saw the Prime Minister going from places to places. A lot of people warmly welcomed him. This morning, he was at the Parliament. He spoke warmly. Last night, by the way, he was the first foreign leader to receive the highest honor of Ethiopia. That is also an indication of the warm relationship and how much Ethiopia regards its relationship with Prime Minister Modi and India.
Yes, and Prime Minister Ahmed praised PM Modi for his efforts in boosting South-South solidarity. What makes that significant in this current geopolitical climate?
Very good point. As you know, the world is going through some tremendous changes. And I think the fact that the South-South cooperation is now elevating its game in multiple fronts, economically, politically, geopolitically. And I think this is the wave of the future. You know, we started out with the G7, and now we're the G20, and now we have with the BRICS. But ultimately, in my view, the one that will come out as a very significant global player in the next decades will be the BRICS. Already they account on a PPP basis, the GDP of the BRICS countries exceeds the G7. So I've always said this, there's a gradual shift of economic power from west to east. There's unmistakable. So I think South-South cooperation would play a very significant role. And I say those two countries, and Prime Minister Abiy is going to be going to India to attend the BRICS summit this coming next year in 2026. He's also been invited by Prime Minister Modi to attend other events. So again, cementing the relationship between these two very significant. Ethiopia is one of the 5 largest economies in Africa. India, of course, is now the 5th largest economy in the world. So India has risen, and it's still going to rise. I mean, Ethiopia is a rising power in its own right as an emerging economy, and there are forecasts that say its economy will be 1.6 trillion in the next 20 years. So the relationship of the South-South and the rising powers like India and Ethiopia on the African side is extremely important as we go forward. As you said, the world has changed dramatically, the policies of what Washington has taken lately. And I think this is important to indicate to your viewers that there's going to be big changes coming geopolitically around the world. South-South will be leading it, including us, I think, led by the BRICS.
Absolutely. Zemedine Nagatu, thank you ever so much for joining us on First Post Africa.
Thank you for having me.
I was born into privilege, but I sold myself as the voice of the poor. I led a revolution in the mountains and marched into Havana as a hero. I promised freedom, equality, dignity. What I built was a one-party state. I survived invasions, embargoes, and enemies, but my people survived shortages in silence. Some called me El Comandante. History calls me something else. A dictator. Who am I?